low-life piece of shit to get involved in politics. Who am I supposed to vote for? Am I supposed to vote for the Democrat who's going to blast me in the ass, or the Republican who's blasting my ass? Politics is just all one big ass blast. A woman in politics is like a donkey doing calculus. That's politics, bitch! That's politics, bitch! That is politics, bitch! But with global warming...
Dumb science!
Hey guys, how's it going? Matt from Foulball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you're doing well, because I'm doing phenomenally. Thank you very much. This is the 127th episode of the MFer Podcast. I thank you very much for joining me tonight on this Tuesday evening to talk about some global politics. We've got a lot to talk about. I'm going to weave a narrative. It's going to be fun. I did a lot of research for today's show, a lot of reading. It's been quite the day. If you spend any time on social media today, social media is alight. There's a lot of conversations going on. There's a lot of upset Zionists and Israelis. Not everyone's thrilled. Some people are excited. Some people are having a rough day. Maybe not the best day of their life, but we are going to break it down. We are going to talk about all of it, or as much as I can cover. There's quite a lot of details here. And it's kind of a lot to understand and unpack. And I am going to break it down, but I guess the long and the short of it looks like we actually have come to a realistic peace, a realistic, on paper, honest to Hoyle, was it according to Hoyle, peace deal. It's not really a peace deal. It's a memorandum of understanding, which is like a technicality. But it does seem like the peace in Iran is going to really genuinely move forward this time. And you can tell that it's real because the Jews are freaking out. The Israelis are not thrilled. They are not having a great day. The Zionists in our own government and all the puppets, all the, Mossad talking heads are all losing their minds. So we're going to get into all of it. We're going to talk about it. Hello, Sencha Dildo. Good to see you. Good to see you, brother. I feel like you weren't here last week. And when I made my triumphant return, now that I'm in New Jersey, and I am officially a right-wing streamer in my mom's basement. Yes, it is true. I've ascended. Applause, applause, applause. Now that I'm in New York State, and literally in my mom's basement while we deal with family stuff. So... it's like it dawned on me as I was like setting up this studio. I was like, wait, I really am. I'm like the real article. I'm the genuine article. Oh, it's good to see you, brother. Papa Cotton, how you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see that you're doing well. Think for yourself and question authority. If you're not doing both, you aren't doing either. Boom! Truth nuke. Fuck yeah. Let's go, Papa Cotton. YouTube didn't send notifications. I just thought you were busy with the fam. Oh, well, yes. I mean, YouTube, bruh. Sometimes they treat me really well. Sometimes, like last week's show did incredible in the algorithm. And then, sometimes I get these weird boosts on old podcasts and stuff, and things go great. And then other times it's like, what happened to the subscribers from yesterday? Where'd they go? They all yesterday just decided to unsub? Really? I never unsub from anything. I feel like most people don't. That's like a decision you make. But whatever. I'm not complaining. I'm just here to have fun and talk a little shit. But I am back. I'm up on my feet. I got some cool collabs coming up that I'm excited about. And yeah, why don't we get into it? Why don't we break it down? So, if you've been paying attention to the Iran war, and I have been trying to, did I have a Freudian slip? What did I say? Oh, no. Oh, geez. Oh, yeah. Another quick note. It is subscriber-only chat. It only takes 5 minutes of subscription to be part of the chat. But it's simply because we're also doing the shorts feed stream. And that's a whole... Oh, okay. Thank God it wasn't me, because Zach will clip it and make me look like an asshole for the next 3 years. No, because we are doing the shorts feed stream as well. It brings in a lot of wackies and a lot of crazy people who just like spam dumb shit. And while it can be entertaining to watch me argue with them, it gets a little draining, especially when I am trying to really talk about these subjects. So it's just subscriber only. It's a 5-minute window. If you can't hang out in a live stream for 5 minutes, did you really want to say something? Did you really want to say it? Were you really burning to get that off your chest, or were you just having a reaction? So that's the last note. We're going to break into it. Okay. So if you've been paying attention to the Iran war, and to be honest, I wouldn't blame you if you weren't. It's been a chore. It's been an absolute chore to keep an eye on it, to watch the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows. I think there was someone did the math on it. It was something like Trump has said in the past 2 months, the 48 times that we're almost about to get a peace. Over 2 months we're right around the corner from a peace deal. Where it's going to happen any day now, and you're just like, shut up. We all know what has to happen to get a peace. We all know. Like, you just have to. There's one variable in this equation that just needs to be addressed, and until you do that, nothing's going to change. And it does look like that variable was addressed. And like I said, you can just see the spurging on Twitter for the evidence. Ryan Grimm is doing some great trolling right now of just retweeting all these like Israeli sympathizers or Israeli citizens who are like, we in Israel are very devastated at the news. And they're just like sanctimonious, self-righteous, Meanwhile, you know what I mean? It was like 7 Palestinian children killed yesterday. Not a peep. No feelings about that whatsoever. We didn't get to topple our goal enemy, and we are devastated. We don't feel safe. Okay, well, pardon me if I don't give a shit. Pardon me if I'm not losing any sleep over your feelings on the matter. So, we've had this kind of situation before. We've had like an MOU, which is a memorandum of understanding, which is like this weird diplomatic tool that isn't quite like a hard and fast deal. It's more like it's like a handshake deal, but it does need to be signed and ratified. I can't say hello, Sherry. Good to see you. I can't say that I fully understand it, but I understand the gist. And the gist is that this is akin to a deal, and we're going to build off of it. We're going to work through the more complex issues. And if you go through the list of the things that are agreed upon in this list, and we are going to, I don't know how you look at this as anything other than a complete and total failure by the United States. I mean, none of the stated goals were accomplished. Nothing that we set out at the beginning of this war to try to do were accomplished. We are in a far less actionable position now. We have less leverage, less money, less military hardware, and Iran is now positioning themselves to be like a global player, like not just some, small country, isolationist country on the Persian Gulf. Like, they're legitimately now are like, yeah, no, fuck with us again, and we'll stranglehold 20% of the world's oil. It's your call. You can leave us alone, or you can mess with us and then face another, economic downturn. It's your call. And it's like, shit. And they kind of got everyone by the balls, because almost everyone, that's a very key word there, almost everyone wants this to be over. They want this to be over because it's not going anywhere. We're all pretty sure the United States is not going to have an invading army. We're not even in any kind of capacity to do it. Our military strength isn't high enough. We don't have a logistical capability as far as like, the boats and all the supplies that you would need to invade a country. It's not even positioned, let alone whether you have the nerve. It's like, okay, but there's a lot that goes into a war. It's not just like flipping a light switch. We don't have 100,000 troops in the area, and then we need to feed those guys and house those guys, and we need equipment and fuel and all the things that go into invading a country. We don't even have that, and we're not going to nuke them. So what are we doing? Let's stop spinning our wheels here and get the hell out of this thing. And it looks like we may have actually done that, which is pretty nuts. I'm very much gonna wait and see. I will not be counting my chickens before they hatch. But what I've been noticing about the conversation around this and the response to it Now, whether it's political theater or not, your guess is as good as mine. Who knows? I mean, you can't read these people's minds. They lie constantly. They lie in the same sentence, so it's very hard to keep up with what's true. But what is true is that Iran is verifying a lot of the things that the United States is saying here. And we are seeing that it doesn't seem to be any kind of swaying by the two major parties here, Iran and the United States. The other parties, a little less, more wild cards. But this is the deal. So these are the agreements that were agreed to in this Iran war deal, okay? So these are the things, right? And even this is contentious. Like, even this is like both sides are saying something different. Like, Iran saying they're getting like a $300 billion investment fund to like as like kind of reparations to help improve their country. The United States is not saying that, but then they are kind of saying it. There's like all these Iranian assets that have been frozen, and I think like Swiss bank accounts, like something like 25 billion. First they said the United States said that they weren't going to give it, then they said they were, but it was going to be contingent. I mean, it's so hard to keep up with these people, and they run the world. You know what I mean? Like, if you worked at a McDonald's and your boss was this inconsistent, it would be impossible to run that McDonald's. But these guys run the fucking planet, and it's just like baffling to try to keep up. So here are the big things that the deal addresses. Okay, so immediate and permanent cessation of military operations, ceasefire on all fronts, including Lebanon. Now, remember that one. That one's very important, but that kind of makes sense, right? I mean, it's sort of, we've been in a ceasefire for a while. It's just that we've had a hostage, which is the world's oil supply, or 20% of it. And that hostage has been, a pretty big sticking point. It's been a big problem for the world. Which I guess there's no way Trump could have known that would have happened, even though every single one of his intelligence and military advisors warned him that that's exactly what would happen if he went to war with Iran. But, maybe he missed those briefings. I don't know. He was probably planning to have motorcycle backflips at the White House. And look, just a little aside here. That was so sick. Those types of things are the things that like almost bring me back to Trump, dude. Like, when I saw him having motorcycle backflips at the White House, I was like, why can't you also do the things you said you were going to do when you were running? Because then you'd be the greatest president in the history of presidents. Like, that's the sickest thing. You had a UFC fight at the White House, and the Sean Strickland crashed it because he's not allowed to show up because he criticizes Israel. I mean, it's a spectacle that the United States needs. And it pisses off all the right people. It pisses off like the women and the screeching libs who are like, it's so gratuitous. And I'm like, no, it's sick. It's so sick. It's the type of stuff we totally need. But Trump just on every other front is a failure as a president and a liar and a charlatan and a fraud and probably a thief. So you just can't get pumped about it. But like, as an event, isolated from everything else, so sick. So sick. When I saw people getting upset about that, I was like, bro, like, this is why it was so easy to just like get completely deceived by the Israeli lobby and just go all in on Trump, because the libs suck so much. They suck so much that you're like, whatever's opposing that, I'm on the side of that. Whatever is against you and this, like, I saw like there was a video of a guy being like, this is not what the White House is supposed to be. He's like on the side of like on the edge of tears, and he looked like a Chad type guy. He had like a good jawline. He looked healthy and in shape. And what the fuck is your problem? He's like talking like a menstruating woman. Like, shut up. Fuck off. Anyway, just a little side note. It's just, if, what could have been? What could have been if we just told the Israelis no, and we told the libs no, and just deported all the illegals and didn't go to war with Iran? Things could have been so much better, but alas. Okay, so ceasefire, obviously. U.S. commitment to not interfere in Iran's internal affairs and to respect the sovereignty of the Islamic State. Basically what they're saying right there is like, this is over, right? You're not going to come back in 6 months, which is like a very hard thing to say, because we've been fucking with Iran since the 70s, or no, since the 50s, excuse me. Since we overthrew the democratically elected leader who was too socialist and didn't conform to BP's desires of Iran's oil supply. They did not like the fact that it was going to be nationalized. That really turned them off. So that was an issue, and ever since we've just been meddling in that country. And as much as I can tell, if it wasn't for the fact of Israel being like bloodthirsty warmongers in the region and the United States constantly meddling with them, I don't think they have any grander ambitions in the region. I'm not really sure. That's a very surface level understanding for me, but that's just how it appears. It just seems like they want to be like isolated. They just want to be left alone. And I know they went back and they had a big war went back and forth. They had a little scuffle, a little misunderstanding with Iraq in the 80s, and it was a vicious, brutal war. The amount of casualties, I forgot what the number was, but it was like crazy high. It was disturbingly high. And they've been involved in terrorism and stuff like that, but I don't know, that's probably for someone who's a little bit more knowledgeable about that particular country, but that's just my impression. And if that is the case, then can't we just leave them the fuck alone? Anyway, okay. Immediately lifting the U.S. naval blockade on Iranian ports. That's Trump's blockade on the blockade. You got to love when Trump does that. He's like, no, blockade you. Reopening of the Strait of Hormuz to commercial shipping without tolls or harassment. That's ours. That's our demand. Where, hey, we want it to be exactly how it was before we started this stupid war. Can we please have that? Is that possible? It's just so ridiculous. It was like, hey, Iran, we demand that you open the Strait of Hormuz and don't create a nuclear bomb, or we're going to invade and bomb your country. It's like, that's what you had. That's what it was. That was exactly the status quo. Now you're desperately trying to get back to that. What? Why? Iraq was stupid, but at least there was a goal. At least, it was like topple Saddam because he's like this Ba'athist pan-Arab threat to Israel and he needs to go. Like, I obviously don't agree with getting rid of him, but at least I understand why they did it. I don't see that here. It's just like, this isn't going to work. Clearly, it's not going to work. And then, obviously, Trump didn't have the balls and the desire to follow through on this. He said, I was never interested in regime change. That I actually believe. I don't think he was. I think last year when they did Operation Midnight Hammer, I don't think Trump realized the trap that was laid out for him. I don't think he saw what the Israelis were setting him up to do. I think he saw, look, I'll get them to shut the fuck up. I'll give them what they want. We'll bomb their nuclear sites. It won't be that big of a deal. We'll claim giant victory. Iran can do some what's the word? Like symbolic strikes on our bases, and everything will be fine. And because that's how it appeared to me. Because the next day, he's like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, he was pissed that it didn't really work out the way he was trying to shake it out. It did seem like he was trying to avoid war with Iran. Because obviously it's dumb and it just doesn't really benefit the United States. And his whole thing, apparently, allegedly, is America first and what's in America's interest. And this was not. So I don't know. I think underneath, who knows with this guy? He just is such a fraud. He's such a charlatan. Or he's just so compromised he couldn't possibly do the things he wants to do. Whatever it is, the end result is this stupid fucking war just destroyed his presidency. He's going to shake up the global economy for a long time. And, we're probably not done. But the reason that concession is in there is because they're like, can you please stop with all this shit? We don't want this. Suspension of sanctions on Iranian oil, petrochemicals, and related exports. That's big. If Iran can actually get the sanctions off, then they can start building their economy and becoming even more powerful. Maybe it is. Maybe, from a defensive point of view, you don't want them too powerful. They have all the oil, the regional geographic ability to defend it, and then also the resources to export. Maybe they will get a little strong. But maybe we just stop fucking with them and have normal relations with them like we do with so many other countries. Germany's got a giant GDP and a bunch of fucking military hardware. We're not always on the brink of going to war with them. Although I'll tell you what. I don't think we're going to have time to get into it tonight, but I want to go to war with Great Britain over that rape report, that Pakistani grooming gang report that came out. I'm like, bro, if there's a country that needs regime change, I think we take those boats across the Mediterranean and put those aircraft carriers, right outside a jolly old England until every one of those people in that government walks out, and we replace it with a new monarchical line. Carl Benjamin, King Carl, the first, and then and we start over because it's horrifying what's going on in that country. It's terrifying. But anyway, what's up, Zax? How you doing, bro? Okay. Release of the frozen assets. Like I said, Iran commits to not produce and acquire nuclear weapons. Now, this isn't settled, by the way. This enrichment thing, the nuclear thing, the whole reason that this, this conflict began was the nuclear issue. And this is not resolved. This is basically, we're buying time to negotiate that further. Like I think they're willing to make concessions, but I don't think it's completely off the table, which is pretty crazy, which is pretty nuts. Yeah, I know, right? Isn't that crazy, Central Dildo? I mean, and the details in it are so disturbing, dude. I don't know. If Rupert Lowe doesn't win, like, we do need to, like, invade and just take out all of just wipe out the British Longhouse. Like, it's disturbing. Like, it's disturbing. Like, we had beef with England. But, like, England's like our dad. You know what I mean? Like, England, like, birthed us. Like, if someone's fucking with our dad, like, we need to go defend him. Like, he's old and weak. You know what I mean? He's nothing like he used to be. He used to be a total alpha. He used to run everything. Total badass, would kick anyone's ass, didn't give a shit. Certainly wasn't going to let a bunch of Jeets rape his kids. That wasn't going to happen. He's going to put them in front of a fucking cannon and blow them in half. He wasn't putting up with this shit. But now, look at it. Look at England. It's insane. Like it's not funny. Like I actually like even like kind of making like light of it is like kind of it's so dark. So it's like all those like, and it's not just like, oh, get rid of Keir Starmer. It's like no. Dismantle that bureaucracy. Like dismantle it all to the dust, to the fucking floorboards, and start over. Okay. I can't think of the only like base right winger I know is Carl Benjamin. I guess Count Dankula can run the finances because he's like a libertarian. We'll start there. Like the USSR. Like in 1918, just a bunch of fucking squirrely libs in a room like running Russia. It'll be like that in the beginning, and then they'll reclaim their glorious empire. All right, a 60-day negotiation. Okay, then this is all kind of technical shit, mutual commitments and safe maritime traffic. That's just about, this is all kind of technical shit. What's up, Craig Butler? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Carl Benjamin was basically a liberal in a lot of ways. He very much was. I mean, that was his whole thing. He's like, I'm a classical liberal. Like he walked through that, and then he's actually like, no, I'm like a flat out conservative, and not in the way the United States says conservative, like the kind of old school like tradition of conservative Englishmen. So, and he earned. I feel like he really walked through that. He was transparent the whole time. It's like I think he's cleansed himself of his liberal ways. He's still. I don't follow him nearly as much. I used to watch everything he did. I don't really follow him as much anymore. But he still, to me, is tough. Is not tough, or which I should say, is not tough on like Israel and the JQ. He doesn't touch it really. He'll get after it a little bit. He's got one of my favorite quotes, which is that he wants what's he say? He wants like the immigration and ethnic policy of Israel. That's what he wants for his country, and you're like, that's pretty based. But he doesn't really touch it. And in this context, in this day and age, in this time in the conversation, if you're not touching that, I feel like you're leaving out a huge part of the conversation, and I'm just going to go elsewhere. All due respect. I still love Carl. I think he's still a fucking bad man, and he's going to do good stuff, and he does do good stuff, but yeah. Keep lolberts out of the government, lol. Carl Benjamin, what, do you want academic agent? He wouldn't do it. Who's it going to be? I don't know. I don't even know. Not Tommy Robinson. Traitor! I don't know enough about UK politics. I'm LARPing. I'm just having fun with it. Okay, so that's the memorandum of understanding. It's what that basically means is we're going to get a loose return to normalcy, or loose return to the way things work kind of, except now Iran gets $24 billion of their assets unfrozen, which was, if you'll recall, one of the things that Trump constantly criticized Obama for doing. Pallets of cash. Remember pallets of cash to the Iranians? The JCPOA was the worst deal. This is so much worse than the JCPOA. This is so much worse than the deal that Obama secured. Maybe you could be concerned about the sunset provisions, which means that eventually they may be able to start what's the word? Oh my God, re-enriching the uranium after a certain period of time. Like, well, okay, whatever, man. Like, it wouldn't be a problem if our greatest ally didn't have an undeclared nuclear arsenal and like murderous intent on Iran. Why would they need a nuke then? It's existential to them. It makes sense that they would want one. I'm not saying they should have one. I'm just saying it makes sense. And that's always this thing. If they make it sound like they want to just burn the whole world. They're just desperate to kill every person on the planet. And as soon as they get a nuke, that's what they're doing. They're going for London and Paris, and they're going to bomb Los Angeles. You're like, what are you even fucking talking about? What are you talking about? So the repercussions of this, like, we're going to see them. They're going to be significant. Look, I'm not a foreign policy expert. I think you guys are probably aware of that. I'm not that keen on this. I don't have like a degree in all this. But as far as I'm concerned, we can normalize relations with Iran. I don't really see why that's off the table. Like, if someone can present the argument that's better than they support Hezbollah, I'm willing to like hear you out, but I don't really see it. It's like, oh, Israel hates them. I'm like, okay, that's actually like a win. That's in the win column for me. It's like, okay, all right, based. Okay, so far so good. Look, I understand that it's like, I am making light of like the Houthis and Hezbollah, and it's like, but they've been in a war. Like, it's been contentious in that region for 50, 60 years. It's like it's constant war. I don't know. Like, Israel's our greatest ally. They're doing a war crime every other day. Like, every other day. Like, if you read Drop Site News, it's like every day there's another war crime. It's another like 4 Palestinian kids sniped in the head. So that's obviously not our problem. Like, Saudi Arabia is a horrific nation. We have relations with them. So why can't it be Iran? It's just, there's one party, oy vey, that you forgot to ask. They have a problem. So, like I said, we lost this war. It looks bad. We overextended ourselves militarily. We are weaker than we were, at the beginning of this war. In fact, so we've actually weakened ourselves on the global stage, which is bad, because now we have exposed ourselves. We have shown the reach of our power. Now it's defined. Now it's not vague. Now it's not like this elusive, look, how good are they? Now they know exactly how good we are. Terrible, terrible look. So we lost this war. However, so did Israel. And I don't want to be overly optimistic. I don't want to be I don't want to be a stupid goy here, and just be like, "Hey, yeah, Trump's back. I like Trump now," But what I'm observing and what I'm putting together right now is it does look like there are cracks in the foundation of the relationship between the United States and Israel that are pretty significant, that could truly be leading to a real split with Israel. Probably not completely, but I think this sort of like, we are, Israel's pit bull and they just say sick. I think that's over. And, that's not to say that we're not going to be culpable with more Palestinian dead kids. Obviously the world doesn't really care about that. You know what I mean? People get upset about it, but it just keeps happening and you don't even hear about it. Don't even read about it. Certainly not in the front page of the New York Times ever. That's something we're going to talk about, the liberal media. The liberal media. Look, if the libs in this country were almost just like, like Dave Smith and Scott Horton, but gay, Like, I would probably tolerate them. If they were, like, principled, like, anti-war, like, we just want healthcare and, like, homos to be everywhere, like, I wouldn't like it, but I'd be okay with it. But, like, what even are they? They're like, oh, no, we're like the neocons, but gay. It's like, oh, that's the worst. That's a horrible combination of characteristics. You mean you're for a big authoritarian government, no American sovereignty, and you want to continue with the wars, but you're going to do it gay? That fucking sucks. That's way worse. So it's like, I read these articles, I read these like left-wing outlets, so to speak, and you're like, you are basically taunting Trump. You're telling Trump you're a bitch for not finishing this war. You're the left? How are you the left? The left of what? It's crazy. So there's been a lot has been made of Trump had a public phone call with Bibi Netanyahu where he used some very salty language and some choice words. And he's saying, you're making everybody hate Israel now. What are you doing? You're crazy. I kept you out of prison. You know, that's not incorrect. I think that you could say is accurate. But it felt planted. It felt like it was a little too good to be true. And it was Barack Ravid. He works for Axios. I forget what his I want to say he has like Israeli connections. I want to say he's like Israeli like military intelligence connections, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think that that's correct. He did, he would work with the Obama administration. He was like their guy, on the inside, the way like Bob Woodward, was like not just a really good journalist. You know what I mean? He was in Navy intelligence before he showed up at the Washington Post, And I don't think I don't think that those networks are gone. I know that's crazy. I know that's nuts, but we actually have hard proof of intelligence agencies working within the press in the past. And I just feel like maybe they're not gone yet. And maybe there's connections to foreign nations' interests in our media. I know that sounds crazy, guys, but just hear me out, okay? So there were some clips going around because Trump's at the G7, and it's like, they're asking him about this war and the peace deal because obviously it's a big subject. I mean, it's all over the media. It's all over Twitter. Every major like political influencer is weighing in on it. And Trump had some pretty interesting things to say about the situation. Generally, when I listen to Trump, I just kind of roll my eyes and get annoyed, because it's like, I used to think he was hilarious. I used to love listening to Trump. He would troll all the right people. He was funny. He was just the right, precise amount of mean. But now I hate him. I'm just like, shut up. I see him the way like the libs do without without crying about it. But I'm just like, this guy, he's such a liar. Like every time he speaks, I'm like, oh, you're so full of shit. But today, he had some really interesting things to say, and we're gonna play some of this clip. We're gonna play a little bit of Trump's Trump's G7 today. And like I said, look, I'm reading fucking tea leaves here, okay? There's no way to really know what's going on because it's all so opaque. It's this is what this guy's saying, that's what that guy's saying. Maybe it's political theater, maybe it's sincere, who knows? I certainly don't. I'm doing my best to try to figure it out. And if this is on the up and up, if these are his authentic feelings or this is like legitimate kind of policy, coming from the White House, well, that's pretty interesting. So let's listen to this clip a little bit.
President, what are the expectations for Israel? Can this deal survive if Israel attacks Lebanon?
It can, and I consider that the minor war. Iran's a big one, but we have a little pinprick out there that constantly rears its head, and that's Hezbollah. And I was very responsible for Syria, and the man that's running Syria now is a person that I put there along with President Erdogan and some others.
Just to clarify, former Al-Qaeda member, just to put that out there, just for a little global context, And that whole war in Syria, as you may imagine, was at the behest of our greatest ally. That's not really what we're getting into right now, though.
He's done an amazing job of pulling it together. He's not a Boy Scout, but he's done an amazing job of pulling it together. And he is very good with Hezbollah, does not like them. And I'll tell you what, Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you.
Look, Trump is a wild card of a guy. He shoots from the hip, but he just accused Israel of war crimes. You know, he just accused Israel of intentionally killing civilians. That is pretty stark. That is pretty different and pretty unique. And look, Trump, if there's one thing Trump knows, it's media. And Israel has an election coming up. You know, Bibi Netanyahu's on the hot seat. He's not guaranteed to remain in power and see his vision of greater Israel come to fruition. So when Trump says something like this out loud, when Trump puts that out there and it says you don't need to destroy a whole apartment building to get out one guy, like, yeah, like that's real. Like that's like the type of shit that the media reports on every day, and it's just it's so horrific and it's so oversaturated that you almost become numb to it. It's like, oh yeah, the Israelis killed another 15 people in Lebanon. Like, of course they did. That's what they do. Like, you really do get numb to it. It's disturbing how often it is. But seriously, just go to Dropsite News X feed. Just scroll. I mean, scroll. First, like, you're just gonna see horrible shit, and it happens all the time, and it's almost always coming from Israel. And so it's like. That's like the real, like, if you have a problem with innocent people dying, that's like the real take. And he just said it at the G7, on TV, on a clip that he knows is going to go viral. So he like shitting from the hip. Yes, he does. But like I said, this might be political theater. Some people were trying to say that the public conversation that was leaked with Netanyahu was a way to kind of shift blame so that it was like a bit of theater. And then like Netanyahu could pretend to like lay in the cut and be like, okay, Mr. President, I won't do it, but then they would just go back into Iran. Like I said, it's hard to read the tea leaves on this. Right now, I'm kind of just taking it at face value. And it seems that Trump just accused Israel of war crimes and then maybe you should fucking cut the shit. And it's like based. Yes, that's quite based.
And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
I would say I think that's a terrible idea, by the way. I think that would just create like a hellish war. Like Hezbollah, I think Hezbollah has something like 100,000 fighters, like incredible like stockpiles of munitions, and like Syria is like a kind of a new nation. Like it's sort of this fake country that was created. Like I don't think that would be a good idea at all. In fact, I think what really should happen is Israel should get the hell out of Lebanon with its established borders, stop killing Palestinians, and make peace with their fucking neighbors, and all this shit would stop. All this shit would stop. Then Hezbollah wouldn't, I know they want to kill Israel. They want to wipe Israel off the map. That's like their stated cause. But if they if they look like the bad guys on the world stage, they're fucked. The problem is they're kind of correct. Like they're sort of fighting against a very evil country that mercilessly kills kids and has such an insane overcorrection. I heard Ryan Grimm quoted the other day. He said that since the ceasefire, this isn't since October 7th, this is since the ceasefire between Israel and Gaza, more Gazans, more Palestinians have been killed than all of the October 7th victims on the Israeli side. So since the ceasefire, Israel has killed more Palestinians than died in the October 7th attack. Okay, so you start to get an understanding of who we're dealing with here, right? It's like, yeah, why do we give them money? Why do we give them military aid? Why don't we be like, all right, motherfuckers, if you want to be big, tough, badass desert Jews, then go do it. But you're doing it without us. Yeah, good luck. Good luck without the interceptors. Good luck without, the aircraft carriers. Good luck without the military support. I don't think you're going to last very long. But the problem is they got the magic bomb. They got the poison pill they can throw into anything. And we have to manage it so they don't destroy the world. and we give them money and we sanction Iran. Make it make sense. Santa Claus, maybe he's just got a bit older, a bit of that kosher fatigue. Well, I think that that's actually the case. I really do. Because there was that thing in the CIA that happened where the CIA publicly, or got leaked or whatever, it came out that they raised the security concern of Israel to the highest level. I don't think that was a mistake. I think that's like them trying to be like, they're never going to let us out of this. They're never going to stop. There's never gonna be good enough. Okay, we'll accept a peaceful deal. No, they would gladly trade our entire civilization to wipe out Iran. And if the United States wasn't there after all that, more the better, less competition on the global stage. Like, I really genuinely believe that's how members of their government and supporters of their government see it. Probably not all of them, but enough, and the powerful ones. So it's like, at some point, you got to be like, yeah, what are we going to do? I would just keep doing this forever? We're just going to keep, destroying the United States of America, draining the world economy, killing people also, by the way, for some criminal, malicious mass murdering dictator's ambitions in the region? I think maybe not, actually. I think maybe we're going to have to say no on that. Crazy as it sounds. He's pissed Bibi made him look bad. Probably to a degree, but Bibi's been making him look like dog shit for like a year. It didn't seem to bother him then. I saw the other day, it's hard. You consume a lot of information. I don't vet every single fact, so this may be inaccurate, but I think it was true. But it was Trump had the lowest approval rating of any president in history, or recent history, or modern history, or something like that. It's like he's been made to look like a total Shabbos goy asshole this whole time. Why now is he deciding to take a stand? I'm glad he is, by the way, Mr. President. Please continue on this path. But why? What was it? The breaking point? Like, what happened? Maybe he just realized that there's no placating them. That there's really no. They will just take everything if you let them. I don't know. Make yourself bigger on YouTube, please. Thank you. Well, all right. No, I'm smaller now. No, I'm smaller. Oh, there we go. But I mean, all right. Well, thank you, Ryan. I feel that's quite nice. It's quite complimentary. All right, there's more to this though. There's more to this. Let's play it.
And I didn't like Syria. I didn't like where
it. Not for me.
2 hours
Stinky
before we signed the
food.
agreement, that there was an attack in Lebanon. Like where 2 hours before we're signing the agreement, that there was an attack in Lebanon, in Beirut. It wasn't like in the southern side, and it was in Beirut. I did not like that. I let them know that. I didn't like it, not at all. But I think
standing up to Israel's attacks, right? Saying like, hey, I'm trying to work out a deal here, and this Lebanon front is actually rather critical to this deal. So please stop attacking Lebanon. They're like, oh, yeah, of course, boss. We won't attack southern Lebanon. And then they just bomb Beirut. Oh, did you mean Beirut, too? We thought you just meant the south of we didn't know you also meant the capital. Our bad. Just the audacity of these fucking people.
that Syria, he's pulled that country together amazingly quickly. He's very...
I think one of my favorite jokes sent in Dildo is he'll send him a strongly worded $3 billion. And it's like, that's, yeah, that's more right, more correct.
Capable. And he's been very good for me. He's protected everything that I've asked for, he's done. And if Israel can't do the job without killing everyone else, he'll do the job. Syria will do the job.
Okay, so horrible.
No, we had a great relationship. We're talking about...
I think she asked, are you upset with Netanyahu? I think is what she said.
No, we had a great relationship. We're talking about some end details. I didn't like that he did an attack based on there's a very minor little thing with some drones that were released, and he ends up doing I saw that attack. I saw where that bomb went. Did you see what happened? That was a vicious, that was too much. You can do too much also. But we've had a very effective relationship without us Without the United States, there would be no Israel. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did.
True. So true. Say it loud, King. Yes, from the mountaintops. So true, Trump. Could there be a truer statement about that fucking country? Is it honestly, yes, Great Britain helped its initial development. That is true. The Balfour Declaration and its sort of establishment in the region. That is true. That's true. But the United States, with its military might after World War II, getting the UN to create the statehood, and then all the military protection we've given them, all the money over the years, all the aid, all the bullshit, the millstone around our neck over these years, is there a truer statement? The United States would not, Freudian slip. That's what they'd like. That's what Mike Huckabee says. But Israel would not exist without the United States. Boom! I think I'm back on. I think I'm back on the Trump train, guys. I think I'm back on board. I'm MAGA again. Where's that hat? I got it somewhere. Where'd it go? Okay, probably not that. But let's fucking go. What's crazy is this clip was going around, but not this part. The clip earlier about you don't need to destroy an apartment building or whatever, and I think Syria could fight Hezbollah. That clip was everywhere. The part where he said the Israel wouldn't exist without the United States, I saw that on Steven Crowder's feed. I thought it was so funny too. Steven Crowder, he's like, yeah, I agree with the president on this, and he starts detailing all these things, and it's like, Crowder, do you need Trump's approval to go take a shit? Do you have your own opinions? Do you have your own point of view on anything? Just now you're coming around to this loose observation on Israel. It's you're like a conservative news commentator. You observe the news every day, and yet somehow this is the first most gentle blow that you will strike against the Israeli relationship with the United States. Yeah, the president, because Trump said it. Nigga. I mean, come on. Are you serious? You lost it. Well, you can't even type terrorist without being censored. Bro, what is going on, man? I am a little worried. I got demonetized on last Thursday's show. I am a little worried that censorship might be coming back. I don't know. Did Mossad infect these tubes, the internet sewers? I don't know. It is depressing. I know. I'm sorry. I wish there's something I could do. You can go into Rumble. You can say anything you want on Rumble, Senshin Dildo. I'm live on Rumble with a grand total of 2 people watching. Okay? Hey. I don't have any emotion on Rumble, but it is there, and you can be as free speech and as racist as you like over on Rumble. So, yeah. Papa Cotton, Papa Algodone. MAGA doesn't have any of their own opinions. They're all flipped on everything Trump promised, just like he did. Bro, if you're still on the Trump train now, I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. That's so sad. Your brain doesn't work. You don't have the ability to make objective reasoning. Oh, poor thing. I tried 4 times to get out the Syria comment. That sucks, dude. That sucks. What are they doing? Who gives a shit what people say in a chat? Throw up Romans. What's the difference? It's a YouTube chat. Who cares what is said in a chat? It's no one rewatches it. No one's rewatching a live stream and then watching the live chat alongside it. We have mods. I can ban somebody if they get out of line. Who gives a shit what's said in a YouTube chat? So stupid. Well, I'm sorry you're going through that, Senshin Dildo. My heart goes out. My heart goes out.
I did. Without me, there would be no Israel, because no other president was willing to do what I did.
No one was as dumb as me. No one was as short-sighted, arrogant, and completely ignorant to the facts on the ground as me. So
I've had a great relationship with Bibi, but now Bibi has to be more responsible with respect to Lebanon. Lebanon used to be a great country. It was a country where you had professors, doctors, lawyers. The great intellect was in Lebanon. Now it's terrible. I would say of all countries.
Bro, I don't think people recognize how significant these comments are. Right, it's Trump, right? And Trump is just completely full of shit. He bullshits all day. I mean, that's what he does. That's why we liked him to begin with, is that he would just say anything. And you're like, this guy rules. I can't believe he said Hillary Clinton would be in jail. What a bad motherfucker. But these are like, he's saying it's going too far. You don't need to wipe out a whole apartment building to get one guy. Like, this is not, offhanded at the White House. Like, this is G7. You know what I mean? This is like a meeting of all these nations. Like, he's saying it there. He's putting it on the table. He's putting that orange dick right on the table and just saying, you know what, Bibi, enough's enough. And it's like, fucking finally. What was it going to take? Fucking finally. Let's go. Oh, it's so refreshing. Like I said, it's Trump. I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know what any of this means. And who knows with this deal. I'm 80-20 it's going to go through, though. 80-20. It could, look, I think, or just earlier today, I think Israel bombed Lebanon, like just a few hours ago. So who fucking knows? But we'll see.
They've been treated the worst. And they can't defend themselves. And they have Hezbollah, which is a problem for them. So, no, I'm not happy with the way Israel has handled themselves with Lebanon and with Hezbollah. They should have been able to do the job faster. It just goes on forever. And when
There he is. Yeah, it's not that Lebanon's got any legitimate beefs or Hezbollah's got any legitimate beefs or Lebanon has any ability to reel in the Hezbollah at all. But it's that they should have just killed him faster. They should have just, why is this still going on? It's like, well, you'd have to go to war with the people of the country, Trump. The Hezbollah is like, it's like Democrats. It's like they're entrenched everywhere. Like, it's like you can't just, they don't wear uniforms. It's like crazy. Oh, well, that was just great from the president. Oh, well, that was weird. Oh, there we go. Cut funding forever and put sanctions on him and let fucking Paris, let France arrest Netanyahu or whatever they want to do. Fuck them. It's just, obviously I'm just saying that, but they didn't put a bomb collar around my daughter's neck or whatever the fuck leverage they have on Trump because, man, that guy just does whatever they say. But he finally isn't. The thing, okay, right, so we talk a lot of shit about Israel. We talk a lot of shit about the Israelis and the Zionists, right? And rightfully so. They deserve it. They deserve to be shit talked because they love killing kids. And they basically brag about it. It's repulsive. And they're in the wrong, by the way. The Palestinians were there first. But I will say this, right? We're talking about all this funding. We're talking about all this, and Trump, look, has bent over backwards for this country, and probably bent over forward and just took it for Israel. And the one thing that you will say was their gratitude for all the things that Trump was doing for them. Oh, wait a minute! I mean, the second he went against their interests, his approval ratings plummeted in Israel. 50-point swing in one day. Yeah, what have you done for me lately? Look at this. This is a poll that came out. Hayon Kantar poll. Israeli survey. I don't know their methodology. I can't say that I'm sure of this, but look at this poll. Is that not hilarious? Trump's support in Israel flipped in 3 weeks. 3 weeks ago, it was 58-35 positive to negative. Now it's 61-38 negative to positive. Like that. The second you don't take out their will, they hate you. They can't stand you. All these people that, like Trump told us now, that's who MAGA is. They were all never Trumpers. And they're only on board with you so long as you serve Israel. The second you don't, what do you think, they give a shit about mass deportations? You think they should give a shit about the golden age? They mock you. They mock you to your face. They mock you behind your back. They don't like you. They don't like this country. They're not here for, they're here for their interests, their own interests. The second he doesn't do their bidding, boom, completely turned them around. You believe that shit? I can believe it, but it's just when you see it in black and white like that, you're like, oh my word. Oh my word. Like I said, yeah, the Israelis they're not thrilled about it. They're not thrilled. And you hate to see it. I know. It breaks my heart, you know? It just upsets me so much to see these Israelis. What's up, Jamalama? How you doing, bruh? You hate to see it, though. But this is from the Washington Post. So, Israelis announced Trump's deal with Iran. Oh, poor things. These poor people. They've been through so much. They didn't even, did they even get to kill a baby today? We don't think of that. We don't consider that for them. So, Jerusalem, a catastrophe, a bad deal, an agreement that throws a lifeline to the murderous regime in Tehran. Meanwhile, they're like, I think that's a Palestinian out there, pal. You can't, there murderers over there in Iran. Among Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's supporters and critics alike in the media and on social media, the mood was clear as Israelis woke up Monday to the news of a peace agreement between the United States and Iran. President Donald Trump's deal is not the one that many like in Israel. Iran, they say, will remain a threat. Yes, I imagine they will continue to remain a threat so long as you have ambitions to wipe them off the fucking planet. I think that probably will remain a threat. Yeah, maybe you should, learn to get along, you fucking savages. The question now is whether Trump's deal is one that Netanyahu will stomach or one he will seek to derail. Trump, in brief, expletive-punctuated interviews Sunday, already accused the Israeli leader of jeopardizing the accord. Caught between Trump's public browbeating and broad discontent at home, Netanyahu faces a challenge like never before over how to navigate the 2 months, a delicate period in which Washington and Tehran will negotiate the details of how to reopen the strait, remove Iran's nuclear material, etc., etc., etc. But for 2 weeks in the lead up to Trump's accord with Tehran, Netanyahu already showed that he could play the spoiler by bombing Hezbollah. Play the spoiler. Yeah, he could kill people and ruin the deal that, is keeping the entire world in this stranglehold over the oil in the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, he could play the spoiler. It's a cute little thing he's doing. He's just playing the spoiler by, killing Lebanese people who had, nothing to do with it. Aren't Hezbollah, just citizens, civilians. The Iranian-backed Lebanese militant group, in retaliation for what Israel officials say were Hezbollah's attacks on Israel. And if you look into the attacks on Israel, not the ones on the forces, like the ones that prompted this war, these rocket attacks across the border, it's 13 Israelis killed. No, I'm not saying that's good. I am not pro-murder, and probably shouldn't do that. But then they'll kill 3,000 Lebanese. You know what I mean? It's like 1,000 for every Israeli victim. It's an insane metric. The overreach, the overreaction is repulsive. It's despicable. But I did find it interesting. So that's just an indication of how the Israelis are feeling about this ceasefire. They're not happy. They are not happy. And this guy, this is what is pretty funny. This is one of these things that when you kind of get this sort of insight into Israeli culture and Israeli politics, you really start to understand, oh boy, this is pretty insane. This is pretty nuts. So, okay, this is Yair Golan. This is the liberal. This is the left wing in Israeli politics, okay? This is like the AOC side of Israeli politics, all right? This morning, a tough morning for Israel. This morning, Israeli citizens are waking up to an agreement between the United States and Iran made over Israel's head. Oy vey, isn't this someone you forgot to ask? In one signature stroke, immense military achievement secured with the courage of our plots and the blood of our fighters has been erased, while Netanyahu stood on the sidelines, weak, ill, isolated, and powerless. Oh, poor Bibi. Poor Bibi. How did he even get out of bed? He's weak and ill and isolated and powerless. Yeah, okay, bomb that tent. Bomb that refugee tent. And you know what? Double tap it in case aid workers come. Oh, I'm having such a bad time. Trump signs an agreement that funnels billions into the Ayatollah's regime, that leaves nuclear infrastructure intact, preserves the ballistic threat as it is, and throws a lifeline to the murderous regime of Tehran. I guess that's the new line. That's the new log line for Iran, the murderous regime in Tehran, as that's like the second time you saw it. And the other one was the Washington Post. I'm sure the Washington Post would certainly not be working in tandem with any Israelis or Zionist influence or any kind of intelligence operations. They're the press, because they say when democracy dies in darkness, so obviously they're light, clearly. Of Netanyahu is the man who, for years, sold the public a false image of Mr. Security, and in reality became the father of Israel's greatest strategic failure in history. We didn't even get to kill any Iranian kids. Well, we did get some Iranian kids. We did kill that school of Iranian school children, but that's not enough to satisfy their bloodlust. They need way more dead kids than that. The Palestinians they're barely surviving on those dead kids. They need so many more just to get through the week. And you're saying no more dead kids? I don't know what we're going to do. We have to fire up another island. This is the culmination. Okay, Mr. Security, and in reality became the father of Israel's greatest strategic failure in history. The man who built the notion of Hamas as an asset, who enabled the flow of Qatari money, who abandoned the diplomatic arena, who dismantled Israel's alliance and left isolated at the moment of truth. Netanyahu is good for Hamas. Netanyahu is good for Iran. Netanyahu is good for Hezbollah. Netanyahu is not good for Israel. The one who promised total victory ends his tenure with Israel's enemies stronger, Israel weaker, and the deterrence built with the blood of our fighters eroding before our very eyes. Replacing him is not just a political necessity. It's an existential security imperative. Now, listen, that guy's from the opposition party. Of course, he's going to critique him, right? That would just, any other, just politics in general. But I did find it interesting. That's the liberal. That's the liberal in Israel. That's the fucking hippie. That's the sweetie hippie person with flowers in their hair. But it's interesting because the political repercussions are there. And look, I mean, Trump basically said, like, hey, I'm keeping you out of jail. You've got an election to worry about, motherfucker. You better keep me happy or I'll start putting you on blast and not doing what you want. And then what? Then you're out of power. Then your dream doesn't get realized. And then it seems like it's my read on the situation is that it seems like that's what's going on, and that, they're not going to get their generational defining war, and they're knocking out the power player in the region and expand limitlessly to their heart's desire in the region because no one else can stop them. It seems like they're going to have to settle for bupkis, which is kind of nice. It's kind of nice. I don't know, Matt. Y'all murked a clean million for a couple of towers. That's fair, but we won over as the people. I will say that is fair. That is something I'm going to touch on in my Iraq war video, is our kind of state of mind at the time, which I was young and I was a Republican and I wanted fucking blood. I didn't care. I didn't need to know about the geopolitical situation. I didn't need to know about what was going on. I was just like, yeah, wherever we got to drop bombs, let's just drop bombs. Afghanistan's sick. Iraq next, sick. We were like, let's go. And then it just went so bad. And then I became a liberal. That's how bad it got. I became a liberal, sentient dildo. That's how bad that war got, okay? I went from listening to Michael Savage and Sean Hannity in high school to hanging on Jon Stewart's every word in college, okay? I know it's bad. That's how bad that war went. I probably should admit that. That's getting clipped. No mention of the death cult. Article dismissed. Indeed. What is up, Carrick Von K? Goat, that is very kind of you to say that. That is nice. I blush. I didn't know. It was the beginning of my political journey. I was like, oh, that side was wrong, then the other side must be right. I was learning, okay? And look, Obama ran a good campaign, man. You got to remember that shit. Back in the day, Obama was slick. He was like the counter to like all this stuff. He was funny. He had the juice. He wasn't part of the establishment, or so we thought. Maybe he was a Muslim from Kenya. That's just crazy boomer talk. So we were like, yeah, good, whatever. Get us out of this shit. This is horrible. We had the financial crisis that just hit. We were like, please, desperately, let's get us the hell out of this. Yeah. And he's just gonna quote it, like clip it to make it look like that's who I am now. I'm sorry. I didn't like either, but I didn't go left. What the fuck? Shut up. I was young. I was in college. I was an actor. I didn't know any better. Look, yeah, I'm not going to further defend this. Thank you, Carrick Von K. Yes, I agree with that. A lot of people weren't awake back then either, so we didn't know better. Right. First Obama campaign was the bestest I've ever seen. It was good. I mean, look, the deck was completely stacked in his favor. How could he lose? He had to just not be a fucking retard, John McCain, total blunder, was just like, yeah, I guess I'll just run the evangelical Bush playbook. It was like, no, like the only thing you have going for you is that your rhetoric is more moderate. You seem like a more reasonable guy. I mean, he isn't, he's the architect of all these foreign wars, but the way he appeared was a reasonable guy. And then he's just like, fire and brimstone, evangelical shit. It's like, definitely not, dude. So yeah, he was, dude. You look, you can hate Obama and you can look at the division he wrought and the racial tensions that arose because of his presidency. But if you can't admit the guy's charismatic, like I just can't, we're not having a serious conversation, I've got power now. I've got juice. I got energy. Is that what those lightning bolts are for? Is that what you're suggesting? Okay. So there is more to this story. There is more. Like I said, the Israelis are mad. Particular. There's one in particular I wanted to highlight. There's one in particular that when he copes and when he seethes, it's kind of fun. It's kind of enjoyable. And I think you guys are going to enjoy watching him cope and seethe with me. Let me see. Let me get the right time code here. Yes. It's Mr. Giant. What is it? I was going to say, oh wait, did I share the right screen? Is that working? Why is this? Okay, there we go. It's Ben Shapiro. Mr. Giant Yarmulke himself, Ben Shapiro. That's a great still too. But he was not happy. Can you believe it? Old reasonable conservative fucking Ben Shapiro. Not thrilled that the war in Iran is ending. Yeah, it's fun. It's a short clip. It's only a few minutes, but it's kind of great to watch him seethe. I get a kick out of it. I think it's awesome.
Acknowledged that Hezbollah attacked Israel first, but stressed it didn't cause any damage and nobody had been killed. Why did Bibi have to do an effing attack? I was so pissed off. I let him know. He has no effing judgment. I let him know that. And then he said the same thing to the Wall Street Journal. Bibi shouldn't have done that. I didn't like it at all. They fired a couple of small missiles and missed their mark by a lot. They have to fire back, then he'll fire back, then the whole thing never stops in the Middle East. So we are now back to what? Cycle of violence nonsense? That suddenly there's no difference between Israel defending itself and Hezbollah firing missiles and rockets?
He says Hezbollah like a fucking white girl ordering like burritos in a Mexican place. Hezbollah, burritos. What are you doing? Why are you pronouncing it like that? It's just like, okay, Ben. We get it, man. You're fucking Israeli, dude. We know. Like, why? Why? Oh.
At Israelis, in Israeli territory? Okay, this is the problem. This is why I am skeptical. So again, I think that there's not much in this 60-day memorandum. I think the memo of understanding is probably open-ended. I think it probably doesn't involve a lot of substantive discussion. I'm hopeful that essentially all it is the United States saying, listen, we're done here. We've done most of the damage we're willing to do. You want to mess around in the Strait of Hormuz, that's your business. The Europeans and the Chinese can take care of it. We're out. I'm hopeful that's what this is. And that basically there is no second step, because I think a second step would be quite bad. But we're not going to know until we see the text. The one thing I will say with regard to the president and the vice president and the signals they are sending, if you keep sending the signal to a terror-backing regime that chants death to America, that you want to deal with them so badly that you're going to tell our allies in the region to stand down, you are giving them an enormous amount of forward momentum. And that is a huge mistake that should not be done.
Guys, they chant death to America. Send your children to die in that war. Oh, it's not for our benefit. I just really care about America. And when they say mean things about it, we need to go to war. And if you give them momentum, they're very, very dangerous. I think when you get the take from Ben Shapiro, right, you know that's coming like straight from Tel Aviv. You know what I mean? That's coming right out of the Mossad military intelligence office, like boom, like a needle cast, like right to him. So I do appreciate to hear that they're seething, that they're not happy about this, and they're trying to be like, hey, we're being reasonable, but you don't know what you're doing. You don't know the mistake you're making here. It's like, I think we do. I think we actually do, bro.
And I hope that the president does not do that. Again, that signing ceremony in Switzerland should be canceled. It should not happen. A picture of the vice president standing next to an IRGC cutout like Mohammed Khalibaf is not something the United States should be celebrating. It is not a good idea.
the Qatari diplomat who like worked out this deal is a IRGC cutout. Anyone who doesn't do what the Jews want are they're cutouts for other powers. It's like maybe they don't want war, Ben. Maybe they just want this to end. Maybe they would like this to stop. Maybe it's destructive. Maybe it's only serving one country's interests. Maybe the whole world could end in a way functionally if we continue down this road. No, he's an IRGC cutout. Shut up. Look, it is sweet to watch the Ben Shapiro show and the Daily Wire just swirl down the toilet. It is pretty great, and it's cool that they're two of their biggest influencers like Candace Owens and Brett Cooper are basically just like based in Red Pill now, on the whole thing in Israel. Like they're still girls and they're still middle of the road political takes. It's not exactly to me. It's like I don't watch, but when you ever see the clips, you're like, that rules. They're over it. Candace Owens is going on about like Jewish cults and mysticism, and it's all this shit. But it is funny that they just kept tanking their company and extricating like anyone watched just because you didn't say the right things about Israel. It's like, hey, maybe that would seem a little transparent. Maybe it's a little obvious. Maybe we're just a Hezbollah outlet at that point. Maybe you should let people question these things, have a conversation about it. No, we're not going to do that. We're not allowed to do that. You're fired, okay? And you'll never work in this town again. Okay? Oh, we're insolvent. Wow. I have to get one of my uncles to give me money. Carrick. The fact that all these people are so angry about this deal makes it seem like this is something good, but I'm just waiting for it to go awry in some way. Oh, well, that's what I was saying. Look, I'm not 100%. I'm not lighting off fireworks and celebrating just yet. And it's like, look, the other thing is, like, we lost too. It's great to see Israel lose. It's great to see that their goals are not being accomplished, but we lost this war too. We lost hundreds of billions of dollars, in military equipment and military bases and fuel costs and just the how much it costs to have a soldier, any kind of serviceman in that area, the cost of running those aircraft carriers, and what did we get for it? We made them stronger. We gave them like more money, and what was the fucking point of that? People died too. Americans died in this conflict. For what? Like, I'm happy to see Israel lose because they suck, but it's like we lost big too. So it's like this was this was disastrous. This is as bad as it could have been. Like, obviously, as much as I would never want to see them follow through on this, but at least there's some kind of like, I don't know, chutzpah behind that. There's some kind of like, we're going to go defeat the bad guy and go. But this like half measure that just cost us money and lives, it's just so avoidable. The whole thing just was completely avoidable. You know, it was this thing that it started last year, and they set the trap, and Trump walked backwards into it, walked right into it. It's funny they never spoke about Pakistan. I wonder why that is. Good guys. They like the good guys. Yeah, it's definitely a loss. The Trump admin really screwed the pooch with this situation. I mean, yeah, they began the end of the American empire, almost assuredly. And look, libertarians are like, finally. I don't know where that leads. I mean, look, we can't keep spending what we're spending, but it's not, you don't want to do that because you have to. You want to do that because it's a choice that you're winding down and you're making wise fiscal decisions, not because you absolutely have no option. Carrick Von K, now we're facing a more unified Iran. I'm pretty sure the average citizen is now more fully in support of the government. Wouldn't you be? Or at least fully against the outsiders? I know I would be. I'd be completely on board. Whatever. They kept us safe to this. They won this war. Actually, maybe they were pretty sick. You know what I mean? Like, that's how I'd look at it. Probably. All right. So then, like I said, all right. I had some other stuff, but I think I'm just getting a little redundant at this point. One last point that I did want to make, actually, which I think is worth noting, and it's something that I kind of found really fascinating. So I try to read the news. I try to read like major outlets, Washington Post, New York Times, and stuff like that to be, at least informed on what people think being informed is, But I'm reading these articles, and it's in these articles, right, written by ostensibly left-wing, Trump-critical papers. They're like all being like, and they seem. It seems to me like they're insinuating that backing away from this war. Have you seen the 30-year-old Holly survivor? No, I have no idea what you're talking about at all. No clue what you're talking about. But anyway, in these articles, if you read them, they're basically like egging on Trump. They're basically saying that the mistake is leaving the murderous regime in power. This was something I read in the Washington Post. This was something I read in the New York Times. There was a clip on like MSNBC going around. These are ostensibly left-wing outlets in the United States of America. Now we know what that means, but I'm just saying, right? Like they're not even pretending. It's like they want this war, and you wonder why. What's the connective tissue there? What, you hate Trump? You're on the left. You're supposed to be anti-war. I mean, you guys were all screaming your heads off and Trump won that he was going to start World War III. Well, now he's getting us out of a war, obviously one that he started. He doesn't deserve credit. He started it. It's a total disaster. Of course. But it is ending now. And you're upset? Like you wanted him to finish the deal. Why is that? What interest of yours aligns with this, And it's this thing where it's like, it's a pretty fascinating development, right? Is one thing that you've seen the left be pretty fucking quiet about this war. Like if I was on the left, if I was like a Democrat or like a conservative, like an influencer on the left, like I would never stop talking about this war. I would jump on it with both feet. That's all I would talk about. If I was like one of these politicians who's like anti-Trump, I would, from the mountaintops, it's all I would ever talk about. But you realize there's a reason they're not doing it, right? You're not doing it. It's certainly not to the degree you think it would warrant. And then there's this invisible hand for some reason that seems to be controlling them. That why wouldn't they say it? Why wouldn't they try to get the win? Both hands. But am I dropping frames? It looks like I might be dropping frames a little bit. Is the audio coming through? I'm doing this on Wi-Fi. Unfortunately, I don't have wired internet right now. Let me know if I need to repeat myself. You let me know, okay? But the one thing I saw that I thought was pretty remarkable and was a pretty interesting thing. Was one of the Washington Post articles was like, it was like an opinion piece by this guy, I want to say Michael Singh. And it was this article, and it was like, basically don't jump to the conclusion that Israel and the United States are decoupling just yet. But it wasn't in the it wasn't like me who's saying like, hey, we're not out of this yet. It was more just like, actually, Israel's like the blah 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 blah, and like was kind of glazing Israel in the article, which is like Washington Post, the left, ostensibly. This is their line. And not the Washington Post, right, where it's like, I read an article about COVID on there, and they're all like, damn, MAGA's stupid, we're so smart, right? It's like the community there is super American liberal. And then all the comments on this article, this one glazing Israel, crushing Israel, dude. I was like, I tweeted out, I was like, I would forgive you if you confuse this for a Nick Fuentes comment section, because it's all about like USS Liberty and just like all the like 109 countries, like the whole thing is just crushing Israel in the comments on the Washington Post. And I don't know if the 109 countries was there. I just maybe embellished that a little bit, but it was like literally there wasn't a positive comment. It was like, it's this little opinion piece that was like a 3-4 minute read, and there was like 400 comments on it, and they were all just being like, fuck, are you crazy? Fuck you. And it was like the tide is significantly turning. The tide in the country, the opinion of the United States of America's point of view on Israel, I think is irreparably altered in a way that will not go back. I'm sure they're not gonna just quit. They're not just gonna, oh well, I guess we lost. But I feel like what this Trump thing is encapsulating, right, is like the bomb on a very, very long fuse that's been burning for a long time in this country, and it has finally hit its charge. Because it's been, you watched, like I said, Candace Owens peel away. You watched Tucker Carlson peel away. Megyn Kelly peeled away. Obviously the left, influencers and stuff like that. People are just dropping from this cause and supporting this country and this ally. The normies are noticing. Regular people are becoming aware of it. Like, AIPAC's influence is a topic of conversation amongst people who don't pay attention to politics. It has completely broke containment. And that doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean we're free. But it does mean that the political landscape is never going back to the way it was. And this is going to be a central point moving forward. And it does even seem like there is actual internal resistance from the awful mechanics, the awful machine that is the United States government. But it does appear that way. I might be being naive or jumping to conclusions or getting ahead of myself here. But if you add all this up, that's what it looks like to me. Bomb, fuse? Are we talking about the Syrian president again? No. I have too much respect for Al Qaeda. It's crazy, dude. The foreign policy of the United States of America that has gone on for the past 25 years is just like, it's complete insanity that it ever went this way. Like, going back to the Iraq War, right? It's like we kicked off the whole beginning, like, not the whole thing. Obviously, we did Iraq in the 90s a little bit, but the big, the big steps of the terror wars and our involvement in this forever war in the Middle East was all on the backs of Al Qaeda. The terrorist attacks on 9/11, and the Pentagon, like that was like, that was the reason. That was the spark that lit it all off. And then like somewhere down the line, we're like allying with Al Qaeda in Yemen to like fight these Houthi rebels who are like enemies with Saudi Arabia. And then we put a guy from Al Qaeda in charge of Syria after we like devastate that country. Like, it's like, what's even happening? Like, if you didn't know that Israel existed, this whole thing would make absolutely no sense. And it didn't for a very long time. To me and many others, like, I still like try to red pill normies on some of this stuff because it's like, no, that's what it was all about. That's what it was all about. It was like the Israelis hated Saddam and they wanted him gone. And the Zionists who worked inside of our government, like David Wurmser, who's like, I think he was the assistant secretary. Was that David Wurmser? I kind of get these names confused. Wrote a memo, the clean break memo in the 90s for Netanyahu, for when he was the incoming prime minister. They wrote a thing, talk about wiping out, the clean break from the region and like going to war with countries like Iraq and Iran and Syria. And then that guy's the assistant secretary of defense a few years later. And then before we have any information on who did 9/11, they're like, we're going to war with Iraq. Like that was like their knee-jerk reaction was to immediately go to war with Iraq. And you're just like, how was this not more prominently discussed at the time? You know what I mean? Like we're talking about taking, the world's largest empire to war, on behalf of interests that are just not our own, and we're not getting into that. We're not talking about that. It's like, and if you did, you were extricated from polite society. You weren't allowed to professionally work anymore. Just ask Pat Buchanan. You know what I mean? Like once you get slapped with that anti-Semitism label, whoa, Yeah, but yeah, they don't concern yourself with what they control, because that's just an anti-Semitic trope. And if you criticize us, we will make sure that you can't work in government or media or politics or finance. And you're like, but you said that you don't control that. But if I say that you do, then you're going to use your control over it. but I don't get it. All right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of the MFer Podcast. Thank you very much. Leave normies alone. That's probably genuinely just good advice. That's just solid advice, is just leave them. It's all in my head. It's true. Oy vey. That's going to do it for this episode of the MFer Podcast. Thank you very much for hanging out with me. Hope you learned a lot. On this episode of the MFer Podcast, and we'll see what happens with this deal. I hope that it goes through. I think we still have like the rest of the week for Israel to try to fuck it up. I think they already bombed Lebanon today, so who knows where this is going to go. Fuentes had a fantastic analysis of this last night. I would very much recommend watching his analysis of this conflict and the deal. It was spectacular political acumen and geopolitical understanding, like in his breakdown of like what the potential scenarios of this is, and even in fact including Lebanon as a potential poison pill to make sure that the United States and Israel's relations are actually like intentionally separated. And I was like, wow, that would have never occurred to me. He's a very sharp guy. So I'd say I recommend watching that. I'm sending you over to Guidem. I'm sending you over to Atlas Thugs. Give him a shout out, and I'll see you guys later. You have a great night. Peace.